So if you wanted to know why I went with the BioMax 600 over the 900, whether I'll change my personal red light therapy setup, and answers to all your other questions, this video is for you. Hey guys, it's Alex here from alexfergus.com, and yes, this is my final video in my rather epic 2021 red light therapy body panel comparison series. I know we've looked at everything. There were 10 rounds, there was the winners round, there was my debrief post-series analysis round, and now I wanted to do, as promised, a Q&A round. So thank you for everyone that has submitted questions or topics for me to talk about. So in this video, what I'm going to be doing is answering those questions. I'm also going to be throwing in a few other bits of information and insights that I've discovered over the last week or two. But yeah, it's just my way to give back to you guys and to help you with your questions. And I know a few people are still trying to get their head around certain things and whether they should go down this path or the other one. So I thought I'd try and touch on all of those topics. Now, there are a range of questions here. I have like 15 odd questions. So be sure to use the chapters below if you want to skip ahead to a certain, question, or maybe there's something that really interests you and that's all you want to check out. So yeah, check that out below. If you have no idea what I'm talking about and you're like, what's this comparison series? Then yeah, I'll put links below. Go back and watch my entire red light therapy body panel comparison series. I'll put links to that below. I highly recommend checking it out if you're in the market for a red light panel. But otherwise, we're going to pull up these questions and we're going to get straight into them. So first things first, I've said this before many times in the series and in my debrief and my comments as well. None of these panels are bad. Well, maybe that's the wrong term. None of these panels are not going to give you the results that you're looking for when it comes to red light therapy panels. All of them put out a good therapeutic dose of red light therapy at your 660 or your 850 at a minimum, right? They all do that. So if you've purchased one of these panels and it placed, last or in the bottom few in my comparison series, don't feel like you've got, a lemon. It's still going to work, right? It just may not be the best panel that you could get for your money, or it may not have some of those nicer bells and whistles, or it may not be the safest, like the EMF levels may be a bit high, but it's still going to work. You're still going to get benefits. There was no issue with that, all right? There was no panels that I tested that were like, hey, this is absolute junk. It's not putting out red light. It's not putting out near infrared light, or if it is, the dosage is the radiance is so low, all right? So just know that, okay, pretty much. And I'm not doing that to be like, hey, everyone gets a prize for, participation. Not at all. I'm stating the truth, right? All of these panels are gonna work, okay? What is it, the 720, the Red Therapy Classic 720. Other than that one, I would probably be happy using any of them. Maybe not the Joovv because of the EMF issues as well. But I personally would use, or I have used them all, right? It's not like I use one that was like, oh my God, this is actually dangerous or it's gonna do harm or anything like that. It's not the case, all right? So just that's my little disclaimer, I guess, at the start. So if you're really, thinking, I really wanted to buy this one, but it plays 7th, but it ticks all the boxes and it's, good shipping or whatever, get it, don't feel bad about it. And it's even more true when you look at the top few panels, like the difference between the BioMax and the Matter, right? Like, honestly, if you've watched the series, you would have seen how close they were right throughout, okay? And it was really only one round that differentiated them, that set them apart, and that was the hotspot round. But then after that, like, Matter jumped ahead, but then BioMax clawed back, ate into that to that gap with the final 2 rounds because they had things that Matter didn't have towards the end and everything else round, for instance. So I know a lot of people just want, hey, tell me which one to get, and well, I mean, I can just say go buy the Matter, but I guess I could also say go buy the BioMax, right? BioMax. I can say go buy the light path LED. You know where I'm going with this, right? I'm going around and around in circles here. So anyway, let's move on from that and let's get into these questions. BioMax 600 versus BioMax 900. Why did I do the 600? I've answered this before in videos and I've touched on it in videos and I've answered it multiple times in the questions, but I still keep getting asked it. So I'm going to touch on it again. What happened in 2019 is I had 6 panels. I compared them all in my comparison series that year, right? The BioMax 600 came out on top. I actually was just looking for panels that were all similar size to the Joovv Solo, just a standard sort of body panel as I called it. That's why I went with the 600. It's all I had actually at the time. I didn't have a 900, BioMax 900. The BioMax 600 won. a month or two later, I got my hands on a BioMax 900 and I did a video and a blog article saying, hey, you know what? I think the BioMax 900 is a better panel for these reasons. Pretty much it was putting out the same power per LED. It was a bigger panel, 50% more LEDs, so you had a larger total wattage output. It was wider, which I really liked. You know, you're getting a bigger treatment area. And the price, yes, the price was a couple $100s more, but you're getting 50% more power, 50% more LEDs, but you weren't paying 50% more dollars, you know, per price. So that's why I have been, for the last 2 years, saying the BioMax 900 is my go-to pick recommendation. Now, 2021, I was always planning on using the BioMax. Well, not always. I thought I would use the BioMax 900 in this series, right? Now, what happened is I learned before shooting that the BioMax 900 wasn't going to be putting out the same power per LED as the BioMax 600. And I thought to myself, this is interesting, because that wasn't a case back in 2019. And I thought about it and I was like, well, I could put it, it's still going to be an exceptional panel, right? But then I thought about it and I was like, well, I should really include the BioMax 600 because that won the 2019 one, right? Like it should, you know, have a shot at defending its title. But I denied, and then I finally decided, I thought, you know what, I'm trying to look for the best overall body panel. And price is a big factor here, right? Overall, you know, price should be an important part in an overall, you know, a purchase decision. And there was a couple $100 difference. It was like $850, I think, after using discount code Alex versus say 1,100 or thereabouts with the 900. You know, that's a big jump in price. So I thought to myself, the BioMax 600 probably is better overall, given the lower price point and given that it's putting out more power per LED. It's not putting out more total power because, again, the 900 is a larger panel with 50% more LEDs, but from a pure concentration point of view, it is. So that's why I went with the 600. Now, is the 900 a better panel than the 600? It depends. I mean, if you just want the biggest panel you can get for under $1,500, then yeah, maybe the 900 is. If you want a panel, if your budget's hard $1,000 max, then the 900's out of the picture. If you want a panel that puts out the most milliwatts per centimeter squared, the most power, no matter what, you know, per LED, then the 600. I have since recorded an interview with Mark Sawyer, the CEO of, or the founder of Platinum LED Lights. Now, I asked him, and that will be going up soon, so be sure to subscribe and check that out. And I asked him in that video, look, what's going on? Why is the 900 not as powerful as the 600 per LED? And he told me why, and it's something to do with if they put the power too high, it would trip the circuit breakers in America if you use multiple panels. And I was like, oh, that's it. So it was, for them, it's like, you know, it was rather frustrating that they had to do it, but otherwise they were going to have a ton of issues, right? And that just shows how powerful these panels have got. Because back in 2019, the BioMax panels were exceptionally powerful. Like, they were insane, right? The new 2021 BioMax panels are even a step above. And that includes the BioMax 900. It's not as powerful as the 600, but it's still way more powerful than the Gen 1 900 and the Gen 1 600. So you're getting more power. They just had to put a limit in. So that's all it is. Now, I guess what I'm saying here is you're still getting a ton of power. Because remember, I got into red light therapy in 2017 with the Joovv Generation 1, Joovv Solo 1.0. Their power levels are like way down here compared to the new panels, which are way up here. I got exceptional results with this, what now looks to be a basic low-powered panel, right? I got exceptional results with that panel. So remember that. You're talking about panels way up here and the difference between this level and this level. I got results with the panel way down here, okay? So does it really matter? I mean, you could argue no, that the drop off in power between the 900 and 600 doesn't matter, especially because you're getting 50% more LEDs. Now, what I do like about the 900 though is it's wider. Like the BioMax 600 and the Mito Pro 1500 are quite narrow. Sure, the Mito Pro is taller. It's still got the 300 LEDs, but it's taller. But I kind of like the 900 being wider because you could stack two of them on top of each other and there's your full frontal body panel. You know, like you're getting enough width, you're getting enough height. Whereas if you get two BioMax 600s and stack them on top of each other, you've still got that narrow sort of frame. So you really need to do four, right? You need to go two side by side, two on top. But for the price of four BioMax 600s, you could get two BioMax 900s and have money left over. Do you see where I'm going? It's very tricky, right? I hope that gives you a bit of insight as to why I went with the 600. I believe that the 600 was going to do better in the overall body panel comparison. I want to answer another question I got, which expands on this conversation. So the question I got was, hey, am I going to stop using BioMax now that the Mito Red Pro 1500 won the 2021 comparison? And the answer is no way. I mean, like I said, I was getting results with my Joovv Solo Gen 1 panel. They're up to their 3rd generation panel now. These panels work, right? So that's not what I'm trying to do. It's not the takeaway from the series that, hey, the Mito Red's the only one that works, the rest are junk, because that is not the case. And I touched on that at the start. So what does my setup now look like? Well, funnily enough, as I was recording this video series, I still had a Joovv Solo 1.0 in my home office setup. I had 2 BioMaxes. I had Mito Red panel, a Gen 1 Mito Red panel from 2019, and a Joovv Solo. Like I had the 2 BioMaxes stacked on top of each other, a Mito Red panel on one side and a Joovv Solo on the other side. That was my setup, right? Now, it's only after filming all this, I've had a big clean out and I've got panels everywhere. I was like, all right, it's time for an upgrade. So my office setup, which is my main setup that I use, I now have 2 Generation 2 BioMax 900s stacked on top of each other in front of me. 900s, not 600s. I have a BioMax 600 on the other side, Generation 2, and I have 2 Mito Red Pro 1500 stacked on the other side. So I've got new panels, I've got a bit of everything. More platinum LED panels than Mito Red panels. Now, am I gonna, if I had access to 5 or 10 Mito Red panels, would I just change everything over to them? No, I probably wouldn't, because I always test panels. I have to be exposed to as many as possible, right? So I can share these thoughts and opinions. But the BioMax have worked great for me over the last 2 years, like exceptionally great. So I'm not gonna stop using them. Something crazy happened, I lost all my panels and I had to start out again. What would I do? Well, that's hard because I still need to review panels anyway. So I'd still be trialing everything. My current setup, I touched on that. I do have other setups around the house. In my gym, my parents have a panel, at their place, and I leave 1 or 2 there. I have everything. I have infrared set up there. I have a big old Joovv Max, I think it was called, set up in one of those places. So I use everything because I know they will work. It's just some work better and some are better value and some have better, nicer features. That's a real long answer on a long topic, and hopefully that's all I ever have to say on it until my 900 videos come out next year. But we're gonna leave it there and move on to the next question because we've got a lot of questions. Holiday specials, what's the deal there? I know Black Friday has already been and gone, but I don't know. I mean, pretty much all I can say is subscribe to the company's newsletter and they'll announce any specials. But there were no big specials that I was aware of this year. Otherwise, just discount code Alex will give you the discounts that the companies have given me. So Alex saves you anything from $25, I think, for one company, up to 5% to 10% is kind of the norm. I think one company does 15% off. So yeah, discount code Alex. Otherwise, reach out to the company themselves. All right, hotspots. How important is it? Does it really matter? I think it does matter because I want to know that if I'm buying a panel that has 4 wavelengths, I want to know that all of those wavelengths, all those photons from those wavelengths, I'm being exposed to. I don't want to spend all this money on a panel and just get some wavelength, some of the 8, 10 here, and none on the rest of the body, despite the panel being the size of me type thing, right? So I think it does matter. But the other thing is, like if we look at the BioMax panels, right, they're so powerful now. You can step back, you can step back to 8, 9, 12 inches, and that light blend is a lot more even, and you're still getting an insane amount of power, same amount of radiance. So in that regards, it's not really as big of an issue. In fact, if you look at the Joovv, they actually say you should be standing 12 to 24 inches from the panel, right? That was the counter argument to why their panel had a bad hotspot reading at 6 inch. They said it doesn't matter because we tell people to use it further away. Some of these questions are tricky, and I have touched on them many times. But look, if you personally think, hey, it doesn't matter for me, or I'm just gonna stand further back, then go back and crunch the numbers. Go to the blog, so I've got all the numbers over there on the table. Crunch the numbers and remove that round. Remove those scores, subtract them from the overall standings, and see who comes up number 1. And I think if you did that, the BioMax 600 would actually come up on number 1. So, and you can do that with anything, right? If you don't care about EMF, take the EMF score off the total scores and see who comes out number 1. If you don't care about, I don't know, money, the price. If money's not an issue for you, just take off those price rounds and see which one is the best. Take out value as well. Take out value and price and see which one is the best for any budget. I mean, that would be interesting to see which one is the best, by the way. It would probably be the Mitre Red, because the Mitre Red actually performed quite bad in the price round because it's a little bit more expensive. But anyway, you know what I mean? That's what I did. I tried to look at everything and come up with the overall winner, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best winner for you. A question on sound. Is it really noticeable? There were some panels that were above 60 and there was one or two that were below 50. Most panels were in the low 50s though, right? Remember, sound is on a log scale, so it's exponential, so it's a big difference between, 5 and 10, for instance. It's not just double, it goes up exponentially. Now, I think above 60, like the Joovv, and there was one other panel, it is quite noisy, and I didn't like it. It was like, oh, this is, especially someone who uses lots of panels. It was one of the first things I noticed. I was like, this is loud. Below 50, I did notice like the infrared. I was like, wow, this is really quiet. It's nice. It was noticeable. Does it matter between 49 decibels and 52? Probably not. Does it matter between 49 and 60? Yes. Does it matter between 57 and 62? Do you see where I'm going? It's a bit tricky here now. It really depends. If you've never used a red light therapy panel and you get the Joovv, you're probably not going to notice, you'll notice the sound, but you're not going to think much of it. You're just going to think, oh, that's how these panels are. They're quite noisy and quite irritating. But if you use a nice one that's really quiet, like the infrared, you're going to be like, wow, that's a nice, pleasant background sound. So if it really bothers you, if you know it's going to bother you, sound, I mean, yeah, definitely put more value into a quiet one. If you're someone that doesn't really care, I would still say, look, be careful of those really noisy ones and look at anything below 60. But yeah, most of these panels you can test and return if you're not happy, though it is a bit of a logistical nightmare, freighting it back, packaging it up, paying the cost. So yeah, if you're worried about sound, get one that's quiet. Simple as that. Now, in my winners round, I had a special award, which I called my safest panel award. I had a comment and they said, hey, look, that should really have gone to the Mitre Red because that had the lowest EMF. Yeah, I stuffed up there. I didn't stuff up in awarding that panel, the prize to the wrong panel. I stuffed up in the name. It should have been the lowest stress panel because I already had a lowest EMF panel award. This other award, which I called the safest panel, it should have been the lowest stress panel because I wanted to factor in EMF, sure, but I also wanted to factor in flicker and sound, all right? Yeah, because like some people said, well, the sound isn't really a safety issue. So that's where I've stuffed up. I should have called that the lowest stress panel and it would have gone to the Joovv and the other company, which I'm sorry, I've forgotten right now. Speaking about safety, one thing that has come to mind is I didn't look at safety certificates or safety regulations and standards. Now, this is something that I did look at back in 2019 with the FDA approvals and stuff. And I was going to do it for 2021, and then it just got so confusing because some certificates were only like country specific or EU specific and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is too confusing. But I've since learned that there are some certificates that are international, like worldwide standards, and some of them are quite good. That all electrical standards and engineering has to be at a certain point. It's not going to blow up. It's going to be reliable. But it's something I'm going to start looking into more and including that in my future reviews because it would have been good to include that in one of these rounds. Just giving the panels that have some of these high standard certificate manufacturing certificates, it would have been good to give them the recognition and extra few points. So do apologize for that. That will be included in my maybe 2023 body panel comparison review, but it'll also be included in any future panel reviews I do one-on-one. So be sure to subscribe to check them out. A question on proximity to the panels. How close is too close? I didn't quite understand the context on that. You were asking about EMF, irradiance, like what's the context? From an EMF point of view, if you don't care about EMF, then go right up, right up against the panel. Typically though, 3 inches and out, you're in your safe zone. 6 inches with these new panels, you're pretty good. Unless it was the Red Therapy 720 or the Joovv, which actually had quite high EMF readings at even 3 and 6 inches. So yeah, if you're asking about irradiance, then yeah, I don't know because some people say, look, even with these new panels, the radiance levels are so high, like we shouldn't even be at 3 inches, we should be way back. Some people say, you know, it's too intense, it's too high. I don't know. I mean, I still get results when I stand 3 to 4 inches from my, you know, new BioMaxes and the new Mito Pros, right? So I don't really know. Sorry. Speaking of EMF and Joovv, I have actually found that the numbers that I tested and shared in this series are actually a lot lower than what they should have been. And I actually had a comment from someone saying, hey, you know, they had a tri-field meter and they said, my readings on my Joovv Solo 3.0 are a lot higher than yours. Like, what's going on? And I was like, that's surprising because I have a coordinate EMF meter and I've compared it to like, you know, $10,000 EMF meters and stuff. And it's pretty good. It lines up pretty closely to what they were testing. So yeah, I was surprised by that. So I went back and checked it. And what I found is, yeah, this guy was right. My numbers were way too low and they were already high, like that I'd originally tested. And I realized why. I typically use a metal 6-inch ruler. So I tested 6 inches and 3 inches, right? And that was having, because I was pushing that onto the panel and I was holding it, that was having a grounding effect because it was the electric fields that were really high, right? When I swapped that out for a plastic ruler, the numbers went through the roof, like really, really high. So yeah, I do apologize there. Fortunately, the metal ruler didn't ground it completely that there was no reading, because otherwise I would have said, oh, the Joovv's fine, when in fact it definitely wasn't. So yeah, fortunately it was still picking up something, which wasn't great. But those numbers were way worse, like a lot worse. Yeah, I've gone out and done another video just testing the Joovv EMF levels, and I'll be publishing that soon as well. So yeah, again, I do apologize. And it is, yeah, it's concerning. Like, Joovv say, hey, look, you have to stand, I don't know, 16 to 24 inches from the panel. That's what they recommend. That's what's in the manual. So that EMF isn't an issue there. And that's true. When you get out that far, it's not an issue. But that's a long way from a panel, right? Like, I'm so used to standing right next to it. And it's going to take a lot of people to really change the way they use those panels, especially if you have them on 3 sides like I do. I mean, you really need to put them in a big room and stand in the middle of the room, which is just going to feel a bit odd. Plus, the further away from the panel, the lower the power radiance. So anyway, Joovv Solo 3.0, yeah, the EMF levels for the electric field were a lot higher. And that could be true for the other panel that had electric reading as well. Fortunately, it doesn't impact anything for the magnetic reading, so no big issues there. I had a question about some discount codes not working, in particular with Infrared. I've reached out to them. They said they'll fix this up. But if anyone tries to buy a panel and the discount code doesn't work, please leave a comment below or send my team an email and we'll get onto it straight away. Or send the company actually that you're trying to buy it from as well, because they should have a code set up, and that code is Alex, ALX. But you can send me a message as well and I'll look into it. If you have purchased a panel after watching this series and your code didn't work and you just went ahead and purchased it anyway, let me know as well. I'll see if there's anything I can do. But yeah, discount code Alex, ALEX should work for all of these companies except for Joovv. So any issues with that, please let me know. I know Infrared though, I've ran out of stock in a few panels, so you know, is what it is. I can't do much about that, I'm sorry. All right, what about other red light therapy companies such as Huga, I think that's how you say it, and EMR Tech? What are my thoughts on these panels? Why haven't I tested them? Red Light Man's another one. There are a ton of panels, like a ton of red light therapy companies on the market now. It's kind of crazy. I thought with my 2021 comparison, I'd have maybe 9 or 10. I had 12, and yeah, I'm still finding more companies like proper red light therapy companies. So what I had to do, actually a bit of rationale about this, because I also get asked not only about those other red light therapy companies, but like, what about these other companies that sell, you know, biohacking gear, and then they've got some red light panels as well. Why didn't I include them? Now, my logic behind who I would include and who I wouldn't include was simple. First, they had to be a legitimate business. They couldn't just be someone that's just popped up overnight, because I get emails all the time from companies saying, hey, I'm a red light therapy company, will you sell me, will you review my panel? And by the way, if I get emails like that, if I want to review them, I'll say sure, but like, I don't do any favors. Anyone that's watched my content will know that I don't do any favors. Like, I've done reviews that have been, hey, you shouldn't buy this panel type thing. There's no sponsorship deals or anything like that. Companies have reached out saying, hey, we'll do a sponsorship deal. I say, no, I don't do it. All I ever do is an affiliate deal. I'll just say, I'll sign up as an affiliate, that means I get a discount code I can share with you guys. If someone uses that code, I get a cutback, right? But I try and do that with everyone, like with all the companies. So I'm not, like there's no biasness. I'm trying to, I hope like, like good values and good morals, and I'm trying to be legit and authentic and stuff. But I do know, there's probably a part of every human being that's enticed to like go with the company. If you're only affiliated with one, you might be like, oh, buy that one instead. So for instance, I'm affiliated with MitoRed and Platinum, right? So if you go MitoRed, I get an end use discount code, Alex, I get a commission. Likewise with Platinum, right? So it's not like I'm saying, hey, go with Platinum because I get a kickback and I don't with MitoRed. It's not true. It's the same with Infraredias, all of them. I get commission with all of them, except for Joovv. Joovv have an affiliate program, at least to my understanding, where you have to be exclusive with them. So I could say no to 11 companies and yes to Joovv, or I could have done it the other way around. And because Joovv haven't been the top panel in my books for the last few years, it was obvious that I'd just say, hey, don't worry about the affiliate deal with Joovv, so that's cool. So all the companies that I selected for this panel. So first things first, yeah, they had to be a legit company. And I get emails and I look at the website and it's just like a template website that someone's built overnight, and there's spelling errors, and you get like, you go to the about page and it's just a template page, hasn't been updated. I'm not gonna review, or at least I might review a panel like that, but I'm not gonna include them in such a big series, right? Because these guys, they could go belly up tomorrow. They could be a fraud. They could be a scam. I don't know. They could be sending me a panel that's specifically built for the review, and then the rest of the ones they're selling to you guys are junk. There has to be a bit of legitimacy, a bit of time in the game. So that was the first checklist, right? And secondly, they had to be a red light therapy specific company. I didn't want a company that was making supplements and selling cookbooks and then all of a sudden had their own red light therapy panels. I didn't want to include that. Now, if you know your stuff, you're going to call me out on this and say, hey, Alex, you broke that rule. And I did. And I did that with a company called Blue Blocks, right? So the reason why I included the Blue Blocks in it, because Blue Blocks is an Australian company. They sell internationally, but they also have some red light panels. Now, again, it doesn't meet my strict criteria. The reason why I included them was I got one of their panels to review, just a standalone review, right? And their panel was the first dual chip LED panel that I'd ever tested. So I was quite excited by that. Now, the panel itself wasn't that good from a numbers point of view, poor warranty, overpriced, all that sort of stuff, right? And I wasn't going to include it. It was good that I had it for a review so people could see that, because I was getting a lot of interest about that panel. No other panels had done that. And then when it came time to actually doing my comparison series, because I still had that panel here, and because it was unique in the sense it was dual chip, and because it was a unique panel, it didn't look like all the other ones. They had free international shipping in there. I thought, you know what, let's include it, even though it kind of breaks that rule, right? That second rule of mine. Now, what's funny is that panel got last, like rock bottom last, and it was pretty much last from round 2 or 3. I don't know if it really got off the bottom, position. So it kind of like shows, yeah, my rules are good and I should stick with them going forward. Now, the other rule I had for selection criteria is if there was a panel that had been around for a year or two, was legit, like just focused on red light therapy, but then the panel just looked like every other panel out there, or they just simply copied someone else, they managed to find the same company and done a deal with them, I didn't really want to include it unless it brought something new or novel, or the company was quite exciting in the sense that they had a real good price or real good shipping or something like that. Okay, so you would have noticed this in my series, like a couple of panels look the same. We had the Solbasium, Infraredi, and the Cyto LED panels. They all look the same, but they placed, well, the Cyto LED placed, I think, mid or low pack. The Infraredi and the Solbasium were quite high, but there were differences between them, right? They had multi-wave technology, a few differences with pricing and stuff. But I've seen other companies selling panels that look just like it, and it's, there's nothing exciting going on. Now, I don't want to waste your guys' time and review 20 panels or 30 panels when 2/3 of them are just the same. It's just boring. There's no fun in that. So those are the things I was looking at. Now, there were 2 big companies, Huga and EMR Tech, that I just didn't get around to getting their panels. I actually didn't know much about them. So yeah, in hindsight, it would have been cool to include those panels, but I didn't have them, right? So what I'm going to do is try to get their panels to review for next year. I'll do standalone review. And of course, next time I do a big body panel comparison, I'll be sure to include them. Okay, this was a good question. The question was, in effect, can you assume a smaller panel from a particular company is going to be as good as their larger panel? So for instance, can you assume a smaller Mito Pro panel is going to perform as good as the Mito Pro 1500? Now, I'm going to say yes, you can assume that. However, it's not definite, right? And until I test those panels, or you test them, I don't know for sure. Just look at the BioMax 600 and the 900, right? I just assumed that they were going to perform the same power-wise, but that was wrong. However, I think that was an exception for the reasons we've already gone into. So, look, if you were looking at a smaller Mito panel and you're basing your decision making on my 2021 body panel comparison series, then yeah, I think it's fair to, you know, like the warranty is going to carry over, the wavelengths in the panels are going to carry over, the operation, all that stuff's going to carry over. Of course, the price is going to be different, the value is going to be different, the total power outage, you know, is going to be different because it's a smaller panel. But pretty much, if you're looking at a small BioMax or a small Mito, you're going to get a good panel. If you're looking at a small Blue Lox Hive, chances are your panel's not going to be the greatest, right? Because that particular panel didn't do well. I hope that makes sense. Oh, I should mention though, I will try and review as many panels as I can. So be sure to subscribe, because you might see that, hey, I go out and review that 450 you're looking at, or the 300 for instance. Speaking of reviews and going forward, what am I going to be doing next year? Well, I've done a lot of reviews this year, tons. If you haven't seen them, check them out below. There's heaps out there. I kind of want to do, I still want to do the reviews, of course. If any new panels come out, or something new and exciting, or smaller comes out, or larger, I'll do my best to review them. But I want to do a bit more like educational stuff as well. You know, more information, education, like, I don't know, we can take a deep dive into EMF or wavelengths or optimal like dosages and flicker and all those sort of things. I want to do some of that as well. So that should be exciting, but I will be doing reviews. Will I do another body panel comparison series? Yes, but probably not until 2023. That gives the market time to introduce new panels, you know, just like I did the 2-year gap. So probably 2 years away. I may do a comparison series next year, 2022, with like smaller panels or larger panels, for instance. Like I have done the handheld review series. I might do like a mini one, you know, under 150 LEDs, or I might do a large one. You know, there's some massive panels out there these days, like the Red Light Rising Advantage 1500. Mito Red have their commercial range, which is massive panels. I could do something like that. The issue is, if you look at Platinum LED, right, their biggest panel is the BioMax 900, but you could buy 4 of them, stack them all together, and you have like a massive panel. Now, would I include that in my large body panel or large mega panel review comparison series? Or is that kind of goes against what I'm trying to do? You see what I mean? So there's a few things I'd have to decide before I dived into that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that as well. If you'd like me to do a mega series, and whether I should include like, you know, 4 Joovv Solos that can be attached together, or just focus on one standard panel as a whole. Let me know your thoughts. And then finally, when will I be doing my BioMax 600 versus 900 video? It'll be next year. It'll be a good 2 months or so away. I'm recording this early mid-December. We have our second baby due pretty much any day now, which is exciting. Of course, it's Christmas time, it's summer here in New Zealand. So I've just decided, you know what, I'm gonna take a month or so off from doing videos and just focus on family and relaxing and looking after the new one and my wife. So that means I won't be able to do the 900 review until I'm back on track. Plus I need a break. I'm sort of burnt out with all the reviews and testing, as you can imagine. So the 900 one will be next year. I'm sorry, you know, for those that want an answer now, I'm sorry, you'll just have to wait a little bit longer. There will still be content coming out because I've filmed a ton of content and it's all being edited at the moment. So you'll still see content coming out. We've got lots of reviews that I haven't published yet, red light reviews, for instance. So all that, there will still be content. I won't drop off YouTube. There'll still be content going out, but I won't get back into filming until mid to late Jan, maybe February next year. And then you'll start seeing the 900 stuff, so that'll be exciting. If there's anything else you want me to cover, like next year, if there's a new company that's just emerged, or a new product, or a new technology, or something completely unrelated to red light therapy, please leave your comments below as well, and I'll do my best to cover that. Can't make any promises though. All right, guys, well, that's everything. Yeah, I appreciate all the feedback and questions that have come through. Hopefully this has added a bit more insight and answered any questions or concerns you may have had. Of course, if I've missed something, leave the comments below. every week I jump into my YouTube studio and go through all the comments and do my best to answer them all. So I will get around to it, of course, though, given what I just said about baby and holiday time and that, I may take a few weeks off. So please don't be offended if I don't get back right away. I do eventually answer all the questions I can. Again, if you want to buy any of these panels, discount code Alex. If you want to check out the series and you haven't seen that before, I'll put links to that below. And otherwise, yeah, we'll talk to you soon. I was going to say I'll talk to you next year, but there'll be more videos coming out. So you'll be like, hey, what's going on here, Alex? But you know how it works. All right, guys, I'm signing off. Bye.